What happens when the hunter doesn't hide and the prey doesn't run?
Wow.
It's a pretty unsettling premise, isn't it? Well, you've landed on the deep dive, and today that's exactly the kind of provocative question we're going to unpack as we delve into a book that has sparked immense conversation and, frankly, quite a bit of controversy.
Indeed. We're stepping into the intense, often polarizing world of H.G. Carlton's Haunting Adeline. And this isn't just another book. It's become a bit of a phenomenon, hasn't it? It's really dominated those dark romance communities and platforms like BookTok.
Absolutely.
Published back in 2021, Haunting Adeline really sort of defies easy categorization. It's a masterclass, really, in blending that dark romance with the relentless tension of a psychological thriller. And it
Yeah.
certainly doesn't shy away from elements that tip into, well, outright horror.
Right.
The author, H.D. Carlton, she's known for pushing boundaries, and here she delivers this exploration of morally ambiguous characters caught in a web of intense, often disturbing themes that really force readers to confront their own comfort zones.
So, our mission today is to pull back the layers of obsession, the psychological entanglement, and the deeper, more chilling mysteries that are woven throughout this wildly popular, but yeah, undeniably challenging novel.
hmm
We're going to walk you through its core plot, introduce you to its unforgettable, really complex characters, and dissect the very specific themes that make it resonate so deeply with its audience.
And crucially, we'll also highlight the challenging content that makes it such a demanding read.
Yes, exactly. Ensuring you have a clear understanding of what makes this book tick and maybe why it has garnered such a fervent following. So, buckle up. We're about to dive deep into the shadows.
Let's do it.
So let's begin with our protagonist, the fascinating Adeline Riley, often called Addie in the book. She's introduced right away as a successful Gothic romance author, which, for you, our listener, immediately hints at a certain sensibility, right?
Absolutely. It sets a specific tone. She's not just beautiful and intelligent. She's described as drawn to the dark and mysterious. And that's not just a throwaway line, is it?
No, not at all.
It's foundational. It shapes her entire journey and, honestly, explains a lot about how she reacts to everything that unfolds. Her professional life, steeped in these tropes of haunted houses and forbidden desires, almost serves as this strange kind of pre-training for the reality she's about to face.
That's a great point. And what's truly captivating is how the setting itself amplifies Adeline's character and immerses the reader right from the start. Addie inherits Parsons Manor.
Yeah, this eerie, decaying mansion.
Exactly. Nestled in a small, fog-shrouded town. It's not just a backdrop, is it?
No, definitely not passive. It feels almost like another character, an active participant in the story. Think of classic Gothic literature. The isolated, imposing house, often with a troubled past, mirroring the internal turmoil of whoever lives there. Parsons Manor is exactly that. It's steeped in generations of history, isolation, and this palpable sense of foreboding. Initially, it seems like it might offer the solitude and inspiration a Gothic romance author would crave, right? A perfect place to write about dark secrets and forbidden loves.
You'd think so.
But, as we find out pretty quickly, that solitude is fleeting, and the inspiration it provides becomes deeply unsettling, almost like a premonition of the darkness
Yeah.
that's about to just engulf Addie.
Yeah.
The decaying architecture, the isolated location, that pervasive fog, all of these details combine to create an environment that mirrors the internal and external decay and mystery that Addie is, well, destined to confront.
Yeah.
It's really a masterclass in using setting to build that immediate psychological tension.
And that initial, almost picturesque Gothic vibe twists so quickly into something genuinely chilling. Addie barely has time to unpack, really, before she realizes something incredibly unsettling. Something or someone is watching her.
It's immediate.
It really is. It's not this slow burn realization. It's instant immersion into paranoia. That sense of being constantly observed, the insidious invasion of privacy, it's right there from the get-go. Like the house itself is breathing down her neck or, more accurately, someone else's.
And this immediate establishment of the stalking element is just crucial because it doesn't just create suspense. It lays the groundwork for the core psychological tension that defines the entire book.
Right.
What's particularly striking, though, and key to understanding Addie's complex character, is that she's described as being intrigued by the unsettling aura, even before she fully gets the danger.
Yeah, that's the weird part.
It is weird. It's not the typical fear response you'd expect. So what does that tell us about her? Is it that morbid curiosity of a Gothic author, someone whose professional life is immersed in the macabre and forbidden, finding a strange resonance with the real-life version of her fictional worlds?
Could be. Or maybe something deeper.
Or perhaps it's a deeper, almost subconscious yearning for an intensity that goes beyond conventional boundaries, a desire for love so consuming it borders on the dangerous. This early intrigue subtly hints at this profound complexity within Addie, suggesting she isn't just a passive victim. Instead, she's someone who, maybe to a certain degree, finds herself drawn to the very darkness that's starting to envelop her. It's a deliberate narrative choice, isn't it? It foreshadows that blurring of lines between fear and desire, attraction and terror that becomes such a hallmark of their relationship.
Definitely.
The author uses this early response to set up a really challenging dynamic where the protagonist's own internal landscape plays a huge role in how she engages with the threat.
Okay, so as if being watched wasn't enough, the story then takes this even deeper, more historical turn, weaving the past right into Addie's terrifying present. She finds something pivotal, an old diary.
Yeah, belonging to her great-grandmother, Gwendolyn, from way back in the early 1900s. You find these kinds of things in old houses, right? But this one is anything but charming.
No kidding. It's not some quaint historical record. It's a disturbing echo.
You're absolutely right. This diary is far more than just an old relic. It's a direct, chilling conduit to the past, and its contents are just profoundly disturbing. Gwendolyn's diary doesn't just chronicle daily life, it unveils a disturbing mystery.
Which is?
A recurring pattern of women in the family line disappearing under mysterious circumstances. And Gwendolyn herself. She was being relentlessly stalked by some mysterious man.
Wow.
So this isn't just a historical anecdote or some side plot. It immediately connects Addie's present situation to this deep, unsettling past. It suggests a generational echo of trauma, danger, maybe even a curse.
It feels almost fated.
It strongly implies that Addie isn't just facing some new isolated threat in her inherited home, but that she's basically walking headfirst into a pre-existing, possibly fated nightmare. The diary acts as this powerful narrative device. It explains the terrifying lineage of her family and amplifies the present-day terror.
Making the stalking feel less random.
Exactly. It makes it seem like an ingrained part of this terrifying inherited legacy. It's the moment the personal horror becomes deeply entwined with this broader, more ancient dread that feels almost inescapable. It really elevates the story from just a simple thriller to something with much deeper gothic roots.
And this connection to the past becomes almost inescapable for Addie, right? She starts getting this eerie feeling that her life is mirroring Gwendolyn's.
Yes.
It's not just a coincidence anymore. It feels very much like destiny, almost like a pre-written script she's being forced to follow.
Precisely. And this profound sense of mirroring is absolutely central to the gothic horror aspect of the book. It hints strongly at a supernatural or generational curse, where the past isn't just influencing the present, but actively repeating itself almost cyclically through the bloodline.
So what does that element of inherited trauma or destiny add?
Well, it elevates her plight far beyond just a simple stalking narrative. It introduces the chilling idea that maybe some fates are inescapable, passed down through generations, and that Parsons Manor itself might be a nexus for this cyclical darkness, drawing the family's women into its inescapable web.
Creepy.
Totally. It sets up this idea of a legacy of darkness that Addie is unknowingly, or perhaps unwillingly, stepping into. It suggests her very existence is predetermined to confront the same horrors her ancestors did. Imagine the psychological toll of realizing your nightmares aren't even your own, but inherited, a chilling echo of a past you can't escape. It transforms the book from a straightforward thriller into something with deeper, more unsettling roots, blurring the lines between psychological torment and this sense of predetermined ancient doom. A classic Gothic trope used with really chilling effectiveness here.
Okay, now let's talk about the hunter in this equation. If Adeline is our Gothic heroine, then Zade Meadows is her antithesis, the antihero. And from the jump, the author makes it abundantly clear. He is no typical love interest. And that, for you, our listener, is an understatement of truly epic proportions. This isn't your charming rogue. He's something else entirely.
To say the least. Zade is introduced with his starkness and a set of skills that immediately sets him apart from any conventional romantic lead. He's described as a stalker and a hacker.
Right there, red flags.
Big time. It already paints this picture of a man who operates entirely outside conventional norms and respects absolutely no boundaries. He doesn't just watch, he infiltrates. But what's truly fascinating here, and what gives him his deeply morally gray characterization, is his twisted code of ethics.
Explain that.
Well, the author explicitly details that he runs a covert organization dedicated to rescuing women from trafficking rings.
Okay, so there's that.
Exactly. This positions him as this incredibly complex vigilante figure. On one hand, he's undeniably a force for good, fighting against unimaginable evil in the world. On the other, his methods are completely unhinged, deeply disturbing, and profoundly unethical when it comes to Addie.
That duality.
It's absolutely central to his controversial appeal for many readers and is crucial to understanding that dark romance label. He embodies the idea that genuinely good intentions can exist alongside utterly reprehensible, controlling, and invasive actions. It forces the reader to constantly grapple with his character and question where the line truly lies.
But this isn't just about Zade being some dark knight, is it? His core motivation, particularly concerning Adeline, is intensely personal and deeply unsettling. The author emphasizes he is completely, violently obsessed with her.
Yes.
And it's not simply for her protection or because she stumbled into his world. It feels possessive, overwhelming, absolute.
And this possessive obsession is immediately underscored by his chilling, iconic declaration, "I won't hurt you, but I will break you."
Chilling is the word.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this statement isn't just some casual threat. It's a profound mission statement for his entire dynamic with Addie. It implies a complete psychological intent to dismantle her defenses, her very sense of self, maybe even her understanding of reality itself.
Not through physical harm, but something else.
Exactly. Through a relentless, insidious invasion of her mind and spirit, his methods are a testament to this chilling goal. He hacks her devices, gaining access to her deepest thoughts and secrets. He leaves her notes in the most intimate spaces, asserting his pervasive presence, and he watches her from the shadows, a constant unseen eye.
It's relentless.
This relentless, pervasive invasion of her privacy establishes the very foundation of their dark romance dynamic, where the lines between protection and psychological torment are not just blurred, but completely obliterated. It's an exercise in absolute control, framed through the lens of a warped, intense desire.
That constant presence.
The knowledge that she is never truly alone, even in her most private moments, creates this inescapable psychological prison, which, within this narrative, paradoxically becomes the foundation of their romance. He seeks not just her body, but her mind and soul, and he will go to terrifying lengths to claim them.
What's truly wild, and perhaps one of the most controversial elements of the book, is Addie's response to all this. Despite the terror, the invasion, the blatant control, the author describes her as, against all odds, feels herself responding. Not with fear, but with desire. This is where it gets really interesting, and for many readers, deeply unsettling.
This raises an absolutely fundamental question for the genre and the narrative itself. How does the book explore this complex and, potentially problematic response from Addie? It's arguably the very core of the dark romance classification and what makes it such a divisive read.
So how does it explore it?
Well, the book delves deep into Addie's psyche. It suggests that her pre-existing fascination with the dark, the very thing that drew her to gothic romance as a profession, finds this perverse fulfillment in Zade's intense, all-consuming obsession.
So it's not just Stockholm Syndrome.
The narrative doesn't portray it that simply. No. It's presented more as this profound blurring of lines between primal fear and an unexpected, almost forbidden attraction. The author suggests that Zade's complete invasive knowledge of her, his uncanny ability to seemingly see into her darkest thoughts and desires, because he has literally invaded every aspect of her life.
Right, from her phone to her personal space.
It creates this twisted, undeniable sense of intimacy. It implies that Addie, perhaps unconsciously, is drawn to the sheer intensity and absolute devotion, even if it manifests as terrifying, suffocating control.
It's a paradox.
A huge one. Imagine the psychological paradox of feeling seen and desired in a way you've never been before, but that very seeing comes from a place of profound violation. This element is crucial for understanding why readers are so divided on the book. It forces them to confront a narrative where the protagonist's response defies traditional expectations of fear and self-preservation.
Instead opting for
a path that blurs the very definitions of attraction, boundaries, and consent. It makes you, the listener, question how much of Addie's response is due to coercion and how much is a manifestation of her own shadowed desires.
Okay, so as the story progresses, this initial cat-and-mouse game between Adeline and Zade escalates dramatically. It moves far beyond simple stalking, evolving into what the author describes as a dark psychological entanglement.
Yes.
This is where the true intensity of the dark romance really takes hold, moving beyond curiosity into a truly dangerous dance.
Exactly. This dynamic is meticulously built on several key, deeply unsettling elements that form the narrative's very backbone. Unhealthy obsession, a relentless power play, steamy taboo scenes, and pervasive moral ambiguity.
And these aren't just descriptive terms.
No, they're the active forces driving the plot. The unhealthy obsession isn't solely Zade's. It becomes this shared psychological space where Addie finds herself increasingly entangled, her rational mind battling against this potent, almost visceral draw.
And the power play.
It's constant and explicit. Zade asserting dominance and control in nearly every interaction, pushing Addie's boundaries to their absolute breaking limit. And the steamy taboo scenes are designed not just for shock value, but to be deeply provocative.
How so?
They challenge the reader's comfort zone and directly illustrate the disturbing blurring of lines between passion, coercion, and submission. What's truly fascinating here is how these elements combine to cement the book's classification as a dark romance. It fundamentally challenges traditional notions of love, consent, and healthy relationships.
Presenting something much darker.
Exactly. An alternate interpretation where desire is inextricably intertwined with danger, and personal boundaries are not just crossed, but often systematically obliterated. The narrative forces you, the listener, to witness this escalating dance of control and surrender, making you question the nature of attraction itself when it's born from such volatile circumstances.
And at the very heart of this dangerous dynamic is Zade's truly warped concept of love. The narrative clearly states he is obsessed with owning her, but in his mind, it's love-warped, intense, and terrifying.
Chilling redefinition.
It really is.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is precisely where the book delves deep into those highly contentious concepts of dubious consent and psychological dominance.
Right.
The narrative doesn't shy away from portraying scenes where Addie's agency is profoundly compromised, not just by Zade's physical presence, but more insidiously by his relentless psychological manipulation and the overwhelming force of his obsession.
So how does the book present his actions?
It presents his actions, his pervasive surveillance, his absolute control over her environment, his unyielding demands, as a twisted form of love from his perspective, albeit one that is fundamentally possessive, coercive, and ultimately destructive of her freedom.
And it's important to stress.
Yes, it's crucial to understand here that the book merely describes how these interactions are presented within its fictional world. It's not endorsing them, but rather detailing the narrative's exploration of these highly contentious themes.
We see it through his eyes, too.
Through Zade's internal monologues and his interactions with Addie, the reader's exposed to this warped ideology, forcing them to grapple with uncomfortable questions. What truly constitutes consent when one party holds such overwhelming psychological and informational power?
And what happens when desire arises from that?
Exactly. What happens when desire, or something akin to it, arises from such a volatile, controlled environment? For example, the narrative might show Addie outwardly resisting, yet internally wrestling with an unfamiliar pull towards Zade, a consequence of his pervasive presence and the extreme intimacy born from his complete knowledge of her.
So it deliberately navigates these blurred lines.
Deliberately. Which is why it's so firmly categorized as dark romance, and why it generates such strong, often polarized reactions from readers. It invites you, the listener, to confront the most extreme edges of human connection.
And as this intense, problematic relationship unfolds, it's important to remember that Addie isn't just a passive figure. Even while she feels that disturbing attraction to Zade, the author notes her concurrent struggle with him crossing her boundaries.
It's a constant push and pull.
A battle for her own sense of self.
Her internal struggle is an absolutely critical component for understanding the book's complexity and Addie's depth as a protagonist. The narrative is rich with Addie's internal monologues, which are essential for conveying that blurring of fantasy versus reality that shapes this deeply unconventional relationship.
So we see her wrestling with it.
We aren't just told about her struggle. We witness her battling with her own reactions, questioning her desires, trying desperately to reconcile the terrifying reality of her situation with the unexpected, almost forbidden pull she feels towards Zade.
Can you give an example?
Well, she might be physically terrified of Zade's presence, yet simultaneously her mind, steeped in the dramatic narratives of her Gothic novels, begins to frame him as this dark, irresistible force. It isn't a straightforward case of immediate surrender. It's a nuanced, agonizing portrayal of a mind grappling with profound psychological pressure.
And desires she didn't know she had.
Exactly. Desires she perhaps never knew she possessed or dared to acknowledge. Her internal struggle is what truly allows the narrative to explore the complexities of this dark romance without reducing Addie to a one-dimensional victim. It makes you, the listener, privy to the very moment-to-moment psychological battle she faces,
And how her perception keeps shifting.
constantly being reshaped by the extreme circumstances she finds herself in. It's really a testament to the author's ability to create a character who, despite extreme external pressures, retains a vital internal life.
Okay, so far we've painted a picture of intense psychological drama and a deeply unsettling romance. But Haunting Adeline isn't just about the push and pull between two characters. Here's where it gets really interesting. The story quickly expands beyond that, unveiling a much larger, darker thriller element. Adeline stumbles upon, or is perhaps led to, a terrifying underground trafficking network. This is a significant pivot.
This is a truly pivotal shift in the narrative. It transforms it from a purely psychological dark romance into a full-fledged, high-stakes thriller, elevating the stakes exponentially.
And it's not random.
No, what's crucial here is that this trafficking network isn't some random plot device dropped in for shock value. It's intricately linked to her family's legacy and the town's dark history.
Ah, back to Gwendolyn's diary.
Exactly. This connection directly ties into the themes established early on with Gwendolyn's diary and those generational curses that seem to plague Addie's bloodline. It's also the very reason Zade's path crosses Addie so violently and inevitably.
Because his organization hunts them.
Precisely. His covert organization is actively, ruthlessly hunting this very network. Their individual narratives, previously driven by personal obsession and a twisted attraction, now collide with a shared, horrifying enemy that impacts countless lives.
It broadens the scope massively.
Significantly, injecting a sense of real-world danger, moral imperative, and a stark ethical landscape into the previously more internal, character-driven conflict, the book uses this broader global threat to justify, at least in Zade's mind, his extreme methods.
And gives Addie an external enemy, too.
Yes, a tangible external force to fight against, beyond just the complex, overwhelming presence of Zade himself. It frames their dark dance within a much larger, more terrifying struggle.
And once this network is introduced, the stakes truly escalate dramatically. The narrative transforms into something far grander and more perilous, involving assassinations, daring rescue missions, and the uncovering generational secrets.
Yeah.
This is no longer just a bedroom drama or a personal psychological battle, is it? It becomes an action-packed, high-octane fight for survival on a much larger scale.
Not at all. This is where the thriller and horror genres truly take center stage, blurring the lines even further. The introduction of these elements violently moves the conflict out of the intimate confines of Parsons Manor and into this dangerous, shadowy underworld operating on a global scale.
So real action sequences.
The assassinations and rescue missions add a high-octane, action-packed dimension, making the plot pulse with external danger and urgency. But what further deepens the horror aspect, and crucially connects it back to the Gothic roots, are the ritualistic themes and bloodline horrors that begin to emerge.
Ritualistic themes.
Yeah, these aren't just arbitrary plot points. They directly tie the current horrific mystery to Addie's family past and Gwendolyn's diary, suggesting a deep, systemic, almost ancient evil that has plagued her lineage for generations.
So the trafficking network might be older, more sinister.
It implies that this traffic network isn't just a modern criminal enterprise, but something with much older, more sinister foundations linked to dark rituals and inherited predispositions. This broadens the scope significantly beyond a typical romance.
Making it a sprawling saga.
Exactly. A sprawling saga of inherited trauma, vigilante justice, and a battle against systemic, almost supernatural evil. The intimate psychological horror is now jarringly juxtaposed with a global, deeply disturbing human rights crisis, making the stakes incredibly high and personal for both protagonists as they navigate this perilous landscape.
With such an intense and undeniably controversial plot, Haunting Adeline delves into some truly challenging themes that invite deep reader reflection. One of the central questions the book seems to continually pose, which is both fascinating and deeply unsettling, is what if someone knows you so deeply, even your darkest thoughts, and loves you anyway?
That question cuts right to the very core of the book's provocative nature and its exploration of extreme relationships. Zade's extreme and invasive behavior, his omnipresent surveillance, his knowledge of her most intimate moments and fears, is explicitly presented not as traditional romance, but as a twisted, absolute test of the boundaries of love itself. The narrative compels you, the listener, to confront the idea of love divorced from conventional consent, respect for personal space, or even basic human dignity.
It challenges your own morality.
Deliberately, it makes you question, Can an obsession so absolute, so all-encompassing, that it includes violating every aspect of a person's privacy and autonomy ever be construed as love, even in a fictional context? The author doesn't provide easy answers.
Just forces you to sit with the discomfort.
Exactly. Forces you to contemplate whether there's a definitive line beyond which even the most intense connection becomes unequivocally destructive, regardless of the love label attached to it.
Mhm.
For example, Zade justifies his actions by believing he knows Addie better than she knows herself, that he's protecting her, and that this truth of her inner darkness is what he loves,
It's a deliberate provocation.
making the reader an active participant in this moral interrogation.
And perhaps the most consistently discussed and debated aspect of this book falls squarely under the umbrella of consent and control. The author is very direct in their portrayal. This is not a typical romance, and as we've touched on, scenes often blur the line between consensual and coercive.
This is a major point of contention,
Absolutely.
and it's what firmly cements the book's dark romance label, setting it apart from even typical romance subgenres. The narrative explicitly plays with dubious consent and psychological dominance in ways that are meant to challenge.
How does it stand out in that depiction?
What stands out here is the unapologetic depiction of interactions, where Addie's initial reluctance, fear, or clear physical boundaries gradually give way to this complex blend of desire, submission, and psychological capitulation. This often occurs under circumstances that are inherently coercive.
Because of Zade's control.
Due to Zade's relentless control, his intimate knowledge gleaned from stalking, and his pervasive invasion of her life. For instance, a scene might depict Addie feeling trapped by Zade's constant presence, yet simultaneously her body might react to his touch in a way that confounds and even frightens her.
It doesn't shy away.
No, it centers these uncomfortable dynamics. It depicts situations where a character's consent is not clearly and freely given, but rather profoundly influenced by intense emotional manipulation, pervasive surveillance, and an overwhelming power imbalance that shifts the very definition of agency.
So for you, the listener,
Understanding this means recognizing that the book deliberately explores areas that many would consider non-consensual in a real-world context. It uses them as tools to explore the boundaries of extreme attraction and the psychological complexities of power dynamics within a fictional, albeit deeply disturbing, relationship. The explicit mention of dubious consent is not just a content warning, it's a key descriptor of the narrative's central exploration.
beyond the intense character dynamics and the thriller elements, the book deeply entrenches itself in its Gothic roots, continually revisiting themes of legacy and darkness. This comes through powerfully in the inherited trauma, family curses, and the direct parallels between Addie and Gwendolyn that we discussed earlier.
And these elements are far more than mere atmospheric details. They provide a strong Gothic horror edge to the narrative, profoundly enriching both the thriller and the romance aspects. The concept of an inherited curse suggests a fatedness, almost a predestination, that traps Addie in a cycle of suffering and danger.
Adding a layer of tragedy.
Exactly, a layer of tragic grandeur to her already complex story. The parallel between her and Gwendolyn isn't just a simple mirroring, it's a deepening of the theme of generational trauma, where the sins or misfortunes of the past continue to haunt and influence the present, almost as if the very bloodline carries a predisposition to darkness.
Giving it a mythological feel.
It gives the personal struggles of Addie and Zade this larger, almost mythological dimension, suggesting they are battling not just individual demons, but also the immense weight of a dark lineage and a history of unspeakable acts. For example, finding Gwendolyn's diary doesn't just provide clues, it acts as a direct link, making Addie feel as though she's inhabiting her great-grandmother's nightmare.
Back at the house remembers.
Almost as if the house itself remembers and repeats the horrors. This Gothic scaffolding provides the chilling framework for the extreme events and emotions that unfold, making the entire narrative feel more profound and unsettling than a mere contemporary thriller.
Yet, despite being relentlessly stalked, controlled, and manipulated, Adeline is not portrayed as a completely helpless victim. The author makes an interesting, and for many, a very empowering claim that she retains her autonomy,
Yeah, that's a fascinating aspect.
especially given the extreme circumstances she faces.
This is indeed a nuanced portrayal, and it's a critical point for understanding Addie's character development within such a challenging narrative. While Zade certainly exerts immense control and attempts to dictate every aspect of her life, Addie consistently pushes back.
How?
She actively explores her own desires and boundaries, even in the face of danger. This doesn't mean she always wins or that she escapes the dark dynamics entirely, but it showcases an internal resilience and a complex agency that prevents her from becoming purely a passive object of Zade's obsession.
So her autonomy shows up in different ways.
It manifests in subtle acts of defiance, in her unwavering pursuit of the truth about her family's past, and crucially in her complex internal monologues where she grapples with her own unexpected desires while simultaneously condemning Zade's actions.
So even when trapped, she's fighting internally.
For example, even when physically constrained, her mind remains active, questioning, analyzing, and sometimes even finding strength in the very depths of her fear. She is not merely acted upon. She reacts, questions, and at times even initiates crucial plot developments related to the broader trafficking mystery.
Making her more compelling.
Far more compelling than if she were simply a victim. And it allows the book to explore the complexities of feminine power and inner strength, even within a highly constrained and dangerous situation. It forces you, the listener, to consider what true autonomy looks like when one's environment is so overwhelmingly controlled.
And how small acts can be huge.
Exactly. How even small acts of self-assertion can be monumental in such a context.
Before we go any further, it is absolutely crucial that we address the content warnings that are prominently featured in our source material. This book is emphatically not for everyone.
No.
And these warnings are not to be taken lightly by any reader.
Precisely. The information we have is very explicit about these warnings, and we want to be equally clear with you, the listener. This book contains graphic sexual content, including scenes that involve dubious consent.
That's a big one.
A huge one. It delves into stalking and psychological manipulation as central themes. There is explicit violence and torture. It also directly references human trafficking and child exploitation. Though these harrowing elements are largely depicted off-page, they are foundational to the plot and Zade's mission.
And other dark themes.
Yes. And finally, it touches on dark themes and mental health struggles. The overarching message is unmistakable, not suitable for all readers. This is a dark romance in every sense of the word.
So not just a label.
Not just a marketing label or a suggestion. It's a direct, necessary advisory to prepare readers for the challenging, often visceral content they will encounter. These are not themes explored gently or implicitly. They're often graphic, central to the plot, and they are designed to push boundaries.
So reader discretion is vital.
Paramount. Understanding these warnings is paramount before engaging with the material, as the book truly leans into the most extreme aspects of its genre, demanding a high level of discretion from its readers. It makes it very clear to you, the listener, what to expect and what difficult content you will encounter.
So given all these challenging and frankly disturbing themes, how does the book manage to be so engaging, so utterly compelling for so many readers? A lot of it, it seems, comes down to its very effective narrative style. The use of first-person POV alternating between Adeline and Zade sounds like it provides incredibly intimate access to their minds.
That alternating first-person POV is absolutely key to its immersive and addictive quality. It offers you, the reader, intimate, unfiltered access to the often disturbing thoughts, warped logic, and raw motivations of both characters.
You're inside their heads.
Completely. You're not just observing their actions from a distance. You're inside their heads, privy to Zade's terrifyingly rationalizations and Addie's agonizing internal battles. This creates a deeply psychological experience, blurring the lines of judgment as you gain an unsettling insight into their very different, yet intertwined, perspectives.
And the pacing.
Beyond that, the narrative is meticulously crafted to be fast-paced, full of tension and suspense. This isn't a slow burn. It's designed to keep you on edge from chapter to chapter, rapidly escalating the sense of dread and excitement.
And those cliffhangers.
The author's technique of having chapters often end on cliffhangers makes it incredibly binge-readable. Each ending is a hook, compelling you to immediately turn the page, creating an almost addictive reading experience.
And the language itself.
It's rich with internal monologues, blurring fantasy versus reality, and exploring blurred lines of morality, all of which immerse the reader into the complex, often disorienting and morally ambiguous world of the characters. This stylistic approach ensures that despite the challenging content, the narrative remains compelling and difficult to put down.
And it's this powerful combination of dark themes and engaging narrative style that has clearly fueled its meteoric rise. We've seen its massive success on BookTok and within various dark romance communities.
It really took off there.
So putting it all together, why exactly is Haunting Adeline so incredibly popular? What's the secret sauce that makes so many people dive into these shadows?
The appeal, when you boil it down, lies in its unflinching ability to be provocative, intense, and most importantly, to make readers question their own morality.
It's challenging.
Definitely. This isn't a book you read to feel comfortable or validated. It's a book you read to be challenged, to be shocked, and to explore the darkest, most twisted corners of human desire and obsession from a safe, fictional distance.
It delivers thrills and chills.
It effectively delivers both thrills and chills, catering to a significant audience that craves high-stakes drama, relentless psychological suspense, and often taboo themes. The complex characters, particularly Zade's morally ambiguous nature and Addie's surprising, nuanced agency even amidst her torment, keep readers deeply invested.
And the plot keeps you hooked.
The plot that keeps escalating, constantly introducing new layers of danger, mystery, and moral quandaries, ensures there's never a dull moment. It taps into a niche but fervent market that is drawn to stories that push boundaries, explore taboos, and offer an intense, often visceral reading experience that traditional romance simply doesn't provide.
It's the allure of the forbidden.
For many, it's the thrill of engaging with forbidden concepts and characters that exist purely within the realm of fiction, allowing them to safely explore the darker side of human psychology.
And just to give you, our listener, a heads up, this deep dive is only scratching the surface of this intense story because the book itself doesn't offer a clean resolution.
Not at all.
The author leaves you hanging. The source material confirms it ends on a major cliffhanger.
That cliffhanger is deliberately designed to propel you directly into the sequel, Haunting Adeline. The material we have explicitly states that in the next book, the stakes are even higher, darker, and more violent.
So it gets even more intense.
It promises a profound intensification of everything the first book introduced. More profound psychological torment, more brutal confrontations with the trafficking network, and even deeper delves into the characters' twisted desires and the boundaries they are willing to cross. It signals an ongoing, escalating journey into the book's universe.
Where the boundaries keep getting pushed.
Further and further, promising an even more harrowing experience.
So we've taken a journey into the twisted, intense, and often disturbing world of H.D. Carlton's Haunting Adeline. It's a book that masterfully blends dark romance with a high-stakes thriller, all while steeped in the unsettling atmosphere of gothic horror. It's certainly not for the faint of heart, but its immense popularity is undeniable, driven by its unique ability to provoke and enthrall.
And given the intensely blurred lines of desire, control, and morality presented in this deep dive, where the hero is a stalker and the protagonist finds attraction in terror, it really makes you think, what does it mean for a narrative to explore the most twisted corners of obsession?
Right.
And what does that challenge us to consider about the boundaries of fiction itself? It makes us question why we are drawn to stories that unsettle us and what we seek to understand about human nature, even its darkest facets, when we engage with such material.
And that leaves us with a provocative question for you, our listener, to consider. Would you ever delve into a story where the lines between hero and villain, or even love and obsession, are so deliberately blurred, or do you prefer your narratives to remain firmly within the light?